Overclockers and my fellow Vault Hunters, let's talk about Borderlands 4 gameplay, graphics, and the best PCs to play to get ready for the release on the 12th of September. This time set on the unfamiliar planet of Kairos instead of Pandora, which means this game is the perfect starting point for new players or an exciting new adventure for returning fans. First off, Borderlands is going open world this time, allowing seamless travel through different areas of the map, including a dynamic weather mechanic for total immersion. We have 4 characters to choose from like the previous games, including a Siren, Soldier, Knight, and Gravatar, each with unique weapons, powers, and fighting styles. And it wouldn't be Borderlands without our buddy Claptrap returning, alongside a few other familiar faces. Play through the storyline campaign in non-linear fashion and choose between 3 different areas to move on to after completing the missions in the first area. I'm intrigued to see how this pans out, as I'm not sure I love the idea personally. Although the fun part is that you can now replay most missions if you want to. Plus, with crossplay, you and up to 3 friends can play co-op regardless of what platform they're playing on, and Borderlands is definitely a fun one to play with your mates. And for my couch co-op players, you'll be pleased to know that split screen has made a return, thank God. One thing I love is that you can now spawn vehicles seamlessly from anywhere in the map, so no need to keep popping back to the catch-a-ride vehicle stations. The way you move around the map and interact with the surroundings will be different this time too. Double jumps and gliding is now a thing, plus grappling, climbing, and even swimming, which I'm super excited about. Grapple also interacts with the map, for example, pulling a lever to create new pathways. With this being the king of all looting shooting games, I'm very excited to see what new weapons we'll find, and especially excited to see what we'll find hidden underwater. When it comes to combat, you'll be pleased to know there is a dash mechanic in order to dodge, which will be especially helpful since the enemy density has been cranked up. However, if the enemies do get the best of you, there are now rep kits which will be used for healing. These are handheld devices that recharge over time and match the updated combat and gameplay style. Most Borderlands fans agree that number 3 was the worst, especially for storytelling. However, the developers have taken on feedback to bring the series back to its original charm. They've realised how wacky and silly the series became with just too many jokes, which they admitted did go a bit far. In the latest game, they have dialed it back to provide a more mature and engaging experience without losing all that quirky dark humour I loved in the first 2 games. Following the previous instalments, Gearbox are once again creating this edition of Borderlands, so I feel confident it's in good hands. This is actually the largest game Gearbox has ever made, so they have set their goals high with this one. They've stuck to the same familiar cel-shaded design with black outlines, a classic comic book style that's been polished up with more clarity and higher resolution textures. Assisted by Nvidia features such as DLSS 4 and ray tracing. As with most modern AAA titles, the game runs on Unreal Engine 5, which should help provide an extra level of visual quality and detail. However, we all know how notoriously difficult this engine is to run. In a recent DLSS 4 trailer from Nvidia, the game was showcased running at an impressive 200+ FPS at 4K. Unfortunately, there is no mention of the GPU or graphics settings used. We can only assume Nvidia used their flagship RTX 5090 with multi-frame generation to achieve such high FPS. Bad news for gamers on a budget, but the gameplay does look fantastic. At the moment, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for a smooth launch. So what will you need to run Borderlands 4? Starting with the minimum specs, an Intel Core i7-9700 or AMD Ryzen 7 2700X CPU paired with 16GB of RAM. Similar spec CPUs will also be okay, just ensure they have at least 8 cores. GPU-wise, you'll need an Nvidia RTX 2070 or AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT. A similar entry-level GPU with at least 8GB of VRAM would also be suitable, such as the RTX 5050 or ARC B570. It's worth noting you'll also need an SSD with at least 100GB of storage, 25% more than Borderlands 3, but not unheard of for such a huge open-world title. Unfortunately, we don't know what performance to expect, but hopefully you can enjoy the game at 1080p with low to medium graphic settings. If you prefer to play at 1440p and above with high graphic settings, and who doesn't, you should aim for the recommended specs. Make sure you have at least an Intel Core i7-12700 or AMD Ryzen 7 5800X with 32GB of RAM, along with a Nvidia RTX 3080 or an AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT. A modern equivalent would be something like an RTX 5070 or RX 9070. To play at 4K with all the graphic settings cranked up, you might even need an RTX 5080 or RX 9070 XT. Once again, you'll need 100GB of SSD storage. As we've seen in other titles, Unreal Engine 5 isn't the most optimized engine, so it's especially important to reach these requirements to ensure you have a smooth gaming experience. Before I recommend some of the best PCs to play, you'll be pleased to know you can actually get Borderlands 4 with the purchase of a qualifying Nvidia GeForce RTX 5090, a 5080, a 5070 Ti, 5070, desktop system, graphics card, or laptop. Whew. That means if you pick your upgrade carefully and order before the 22nd of September, you won't even have to buy a copy of the game. Based on the minimum specs, I would go for the OC UK Gaming Callus. This affordable PC comes with AMD Ryzen 5 5500, a GeForce RTX 5060, and 16GB of memory. And best of all, you can actually customize the case, storage, memory, and more. Tweak it to match your budget or aesthetic, available for just £750. To hit the recommended requirements, go for a PC like the OC UK Gaming Fluoro. This pre-built PC is available for delivery next day and should allow you to have a great experience at 1440p. The Intel i5-14600KF processor has a whopping 14 cores, paired with 32GB of memory and an RTX 5070, available for £1,600. To play at 4K, you'll need a pretty powerful PC like the OC UK Max 6. This PC is also available next day and comes with powerful components like the Ryzen 9800X 3D and an RTX 5080, available for £2,900. For this one, I may be biased, but I have such high hopes for Borderlands 4. It looks like they really took the time to consider how they could make the Borderlands format even more fun and make the distinct personality of the game shine even more. And as we've come to expect from Unreal Engine 5, the hardware requirements are demanding, with a modern high-end GPU required to max out the FPS and graphics settings. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and perhaps watch one of these videos next.